First at 5, tragedy in northeast Portland, where one person was killed and several others hurt in a crash involving 5 vehicles. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. Detectives say they believe the man responsible was trying to get away from police at that time. That suspect appeared in court a short time ago. Mike Benner with our top story.
This here is Nathaniel Franklin appearing in Multnomah County Court Monday afternoon. The 61-year-old Portland man is accused of killing one person and injuring several others in a violent crash over the weekend.
Just screeching of car and a really loud bang, and pretty much knew that somebody probably expired.
This woman did not want to share her name, but she tells us she heard the crash at Northeast Gleason and 147th, an intersection that by Monday morning was still littered with shattered glass and broken car parts.
It is sad, and this is a high crime area, and not really necessarily right here, but you go up the street a few blocks.
Blocks away at Northeast 181st and Pacific is where it all started around 6 o'clock Sunday evening. We're told a Gresham police officers spotted a car matching the description of one used in a string of armed robberies. Investigators say a man, later identified as Franklin, was behind the wheel and sped off. And on Gleason, just west of 148th, authorities say Franklin crashed into 4 cars, killing one woman and injuring 3 other people.
All told, it was just a really tragic situation overall.
Sergeant Kevin Allen is with the Portland Police Bureau, the agency investigating the crash since it happened in Portland. He says the preliminary investigation indicates the Gresham officer was nowhere near Franklin's vehicle when it crashed.
I think it's fair to say that the officers were they're preparing to initiate a pursuit. This all happened very quickly, and it wasn't like the officers were actively chasing this car.
Additionally, Sergeant Allen says alcohol and speed appear to have played a role in the crash that left one dead and several hurt, and neighbors in disbelief.
It could have been me riding my bike. It could have been somebody inside Glendevere walking. I mean, there's families that walk in the park.
Nathaniel Franklin is facing a number of charges, including manslaughter and assault for his alleged role in this crash. He pleaded not guilty in court. It's worth noting that he's had run-ins with law enforcement before, having been busted in years past for DUI and driving with a suspended or revoked license. Reporting in downtown Portland, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Portland police have identified the man who was shot and killed in the Lloyd district Friday night as 24-year-old Marlon Johnson. That shooting happened around 9:45 Friday night at Northeast 6th Avenue and Holiday Street. Officers provided first aid to Johnson, but he died from his injuries at the scene. There is no description of a suspect or suspects. Call Portland Police if you have any information.
We have some major developments this evening in the case of the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho college students. This afternoon, prosecutors announced they will seek the death penalty against Brian Koberger. They say that's because of the nature of the murders and the suspect's, quote, utter disregard for human life. Koberger is facing 4 murder charges for allegedly stabbing and killing those 4 students last November in a house off campus. A judge entered not guilty pleas on his behalf. The suspect is actually scheduled to appear in court Tuesday for a hearing related to his grand jury indictment.
We're getting a closer look at the homeless crisis in Clark County.
Yeah, new data from advocacy organization Council for the Homeless shows homelessness is actually on the rise. It shows just over 9,000 people were experiencing homelessness last year. 2/3 of them identified as newly homeless. 44% identified as BIPOC. Let's compare that to 2021. 6,200 people were homeless, with 61% identifying as newly homeless.
And now to Portland's homeless crisis. Outreach workers are focusing on a large homeless camp in Old Town, trying to get people there into permanent housing. Let's bring in Blair Best, who is at the encampment today, checking on the progress. And Blair, how's it been going there?
Laurel, this outreach work is part of a program called Housing Multnomah Now, which was announced back in February. It's aimed at getting 300 people off the streets in 12 months. Outreach outreach workers from Transition Projects are targeting this encampment in Old Town, known as the Pit. It's under the steel bridge and often ignored by city sweeps. That's one of the reasons outreach teams wanted to start there. So far, they've worked with 140 homeless people living there, and they're in the process of submitting housing applications for 14 of them. Now, while that may seem like a small amount, seeing as there are thousands of homeless people throughout Portland, it comes down to staffing restraints.
It's so few because it takes a lot of people to actually house and work with individuals.
Do you guys have enough staff to realistically house 300 people in 12 months?
So it's important to remember that this is a pilot project.
They provide a lot, man. They provide like clothes, they provide hygiene. All it takes is a few good people to help you lift you up.
Now, that man you just heard from was talking from experience. He got into housing last week through the program. Now, it's important to note the timing of this work, since the city is cracking down on rules around homeless camping. Starting next week, the ban on daytime camping goes into effect. Now, this outreach in Old Town has been going on for 2 weeks, and it ends on Friday. David, Laurel.
Thanks, Blair. Appreciate the update. Let us talk about new options for campers, because Portland's long-awaited safe park site for RVs is almost ready. You might remember this has been in the works for years, and it's going to be the first of its kind in the Rose City. Let's get to Evan Watson in Northeast Portland. Evan, do we finally have a move-in date?
Well, David, the official line is within a couple of weeks. We're thinking July at this point. Now, over here behind this green fence is the Safe Park site. We were inside taking a look at things for a couple of hours, but it is yet again locked up. Now, this parking lot has been ready since November, but it's taken that long for county, city, joint office folks to agree to a contract with Salvation Army, who's going to be managing this site. Portland's RV Safe Park is ready to go. The last step, moving people who are homeless in, people who could use a safe place to live.
We're going to have a full parking lot. We're going to have 55 vehicles here, maybe up to 70 residents or more.
The parking lot by the Portland Airport has 55 spots, plus bathrooms, showers, kitchenettes, and other facilities that will help make it livable. The Salvation Army will run the lot and work with people to figure out what they need to get to permanent housing.
And we really need some time to get to know each and every person that comes to us so that we understand what challenges that they've survived, what challenges there are to future success.
This lot was ready in November, but it's taken close to 7 months for Multnomah County and the Salvation Army to work out a contract, prompting questions about urgency. Bob Lloyd with the Salvation Army says they wanted to be prepared for whatever comes next.
Probably the easiest part of this project is just finding the dirt. The complex part is chatting about all of the issues surrounding pooling, dragging, towing RV units onto the site and how you're going to deal with all of the complex issues that come with substandard RVs.
People who are homeless and live in RVs or cars can't just show up to live here. The city of Portland says its outreach workers will find who's a good fit.
Increasingly, we have better information about who is willing and ready to receive services and move forward in life. So that's a part of the criteria. In this case, obviously, there's many in RVs nearby, and that will be filtered into the whole criteria.
But where do they start? In certain areas with certain demographics? Dan Field, the director of the Joint Office of Homeless Services, says workers won't have to look far, just to another street out by the airport.
We're going to start with folks on 33rd, and then we'll move forward to the rest of the county from there.
The expectation is that homeless people will be living at this RV Safe Park site starting in July. According to the most recent point-in-time count, about 20% of Portland's homeless population live.
All right. It looks like we lost Evan's live shot there. 55 spots there. Given demand, it doesn't sound like 55 spots are going to be enough. Evan Watson in Northeast Portland there. Let's talk about the legislature. After 160 days, including the longest walkout in Oregon history, the 2023 legislative session has officially now come to a close. Wow.
And both sides said they were happy with the outcomes. Some of the bills that passed include some climate resilience bills aimed at making homes better prepared for extreme weather, a bill that would improve staffing levels in hospitals across Oregon, another that would make the drug that reverses the effects of opioids opioids more broadly available, as well as a pair of bills aimed at funding and addressing the state's behavioral health crisis. All of the bills that were passed now head to the governor's desk or to the ballot. The next session starts in February.
Well, meanwhile, nearly $700 million in federal money will soon be on the way to Oregon to expand broadband access. This is meant for rural Oregonians with slow speeds or no service at all. It's part of a $42 billion program the president announced today, which aims to give every household in America access to affordable high-speed internet by 2030.
For today's economy to work for everyone, internet access is just as important as electricity was, or water, or other basic services.
Yeah, funding comes from the bipartisan infrastructure and jobs bill that was passed in 2021.